Meet Me for Coffee this week is brought to you by Chatter 365, an awesome app that you can not bother people. It's has an anti-trolling software. I can't harass you. You can't harass me. It stops you dead in your tracks. Also has auto translate. So today we're talking to Robert Kool Bell from Kool the Gang. So if Robert has a friend over in China and wants to talk to them, it's something that's very hard to talk to a Chinese person or anybody else speaking a different language. For me, it's good because I have Greek family. I have family in Argentina. They speak Spanish, and I can't always keep going back to Google Translate. So on their end, they speak Spanish. It automatically translates in between to me in English, and I speak to them in English, and it translates to them in Spanish. Chatter365.com to get all that information, and you can download it wherever you get your apps. And this week, we got an amazing interview. I'm really looking forward to this. This is Robert Kool Bell from Kool the Gang. How's it going, Robert?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Very privileged to talk to you. Originally discovered your music. Obviously, I'm 31 years old. My mom turned me on to you guys, and we have a few records at our home, and we definitely listen to it, and she's very ecstatic to hear this interview. And 50 years, you know, has there ever been a time where you're just like, I'm done? Like, did it ever get to you that much, or was it a smooth ride the whole way?
Well, you know, George, it's never a smooth ride.
Absolutely.
You know, we had ups and downs, but you know, we're very blessed to be together for 50 years, actually 51 years. Well, the first record came out in 1969, but we started back in 1964. But in terms of Kool the Gang, 51 years.
Is it true that the Kool with the K came after you met somebody who had the name Kool?
Yes, that's true.
What were you calling yourself before? Was it Tamango?
Oh, you know the history. Yeah,
I tried.
Tamango now, let me go back.
Sure.
Born in Youngstown, Ohio, came to Jersey City in 1960. And then in 1964, that's when we kind of met with my brother and I, with Spike Micken and D.T. Thomas, and went on to form the Jazzy Acts. And after that, it was the Soul Town Band. Now, Tamango was a name that I kind of picked up, okay? Country boy coming to the city surrounded by Newark and New York. And I was trying to kind of fit in. I'm going to make this kind of short if I can, George.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've always played bass the whole time, right?
No, I played paint cans, man, back in the beginning. My brother and I, we used to take these paint cans, right? And depending on how much paint was in the bottom of the can, it created a certain tone. And we used to sit, and this is back in Youngstown, Ohio. This is Catholic church called Immaculate Church. And we used to sit up on that little hill and beat those drums, and it was echo down into the valley. So that's kind of what we started on. Then when we moved to Jersey City, of course, my mother was, she's able to get us some bongos and a conga, and my brother played saxophone. So that's kind of like how it happened. But let me get back to the Tamango, because I had to deal with the street. And I picked up the name Tamango because there was a movie out called Tamango. And Dorothy Dandridge was in that movie. And I said, I kind of like that guy. So anyway, I became Tamango. And so I was able to deal with the neighborhood with that name, not knowing that one day it would be changed to Kool the Gang. Of course, I changed my name to Kool. Now, getting back to what you were saying, there was a guy named Kool. He spelled it with a C. And I said, I like that name, and I took on the name Kool. It's my middle name, and I spelled it with a K.
Because you're that cool, man. You are cool. When I think about Kool with a K, there used to be a radio station around the corner from my house here. They spelled it with a K. And I always thought that it always reminded me of you, Kool and the Gang, right? Kool FM, Robert Cool Bell. And so a few names you guys had instead of Kool in the Gang. It was the Jazzy Jazz Birds. You really wanted to get to that, have that jazz in your name eventually, but it never worked out, did it?
No, actually, it was like you said, the Jazzbirds, the Jazzy, and then we changed the name to the Soul Town Band because there was an organization called the Soul Town Review. Now, they were trying to be like the Motown Review, and we became the Soul Town Band. And we had to back up.
That's great. Like the history of rock and roll, when people look back and think about some of the most influential bands of all time, how does it feel to be one of those bands that made an impact on rock and roll and music in general?
Well, it feels great. I mean, because like I said, we started as the Jazzy Acts, and then when we started working with the Soul Town Review, we started playing more R&B because we would have to back up about 10 to 12 groups, and they were singing the Motown hits. And then, of course, one of the guys, they call him Tiny Terry, and he used to sing a lot of James Brown stuff.
Yeah.
And so we kind of got our chops together in the funk with James Brown because we had to play those songs for Tiny Terry.
That's unreal. You know, you never know what your destiny really is until it fully unfolds. I mean, you're how old now?
Well, I'm hit the big 7-0 this year.
Wow. And you guys were still planning on going out this year. If it wasn't for this coronavirus stuff, you guys would be on the road, right?
Well, yeah, we do over 100 shows a year.
Incredible.
The virus hit, we lost about 40 shows, 40 plus.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah, I heard that every time you go to a new city, you like to walk around because it's a cool way to see the city, a cool with a K way to see the city, man. Go ahead with what you were saying before.
Well, I like to get around and check out the new city. And plus, it was, it's good exercise.
Yeah,
I'm doing it now, but I'm on lockdown in Old Town, which is here in Orlando. I have to stay on my turf, but I get up in the morning and walk and keep my exercise together.
And those basses behind you, the bass and the guitar, that's Zahn guitars, right?
Oh, you know Zahn? You know John Zahn?
I don't know John Zahn, but I've looked them up. They're nice. They're nice instruments. I would like to play one day, but hopefully that day comes soon. But still, like, what interests you about the bass in the first place?
Well, let me go back to the Zahn right quick.
Okay.
As you know, the Zahn has a small neck. It's a graphite neck, and I have a small head. Now, when I started playing in the early days, I used to play the Fender Jazz, which had the small neck. But getting back to how I started playing bass, we was in New York, and we were playing at this club in New York, and my brother asked me, "Cool, why don't you get up there and play the bass?" Now, the reason why he said that, because at one of the guys' house, Spike Mickens, and his brother Butch played guitar, I learned how to play one song on one string, and that was "Coming Home, Baby."
Wow.
I said, "Well, let me try it." And I played "Coming Home, Baby" on the one string. And that was the beginning of me playing bass,
I think one of the, now that I'm thinking about it, there's a lot of bands out there that are forgotten. And I think that the music for you that you created with Kool and the Gang, it's immortal. And because it makes people feel good. It makes people move when they hear it. It's got a good bass line, a good beat, good lyrics. And I want to get back to a song called Celebration. The lyrics to that song, was it written before you guys put down the tracks, or like how does it work with your songwriting process, especially for Celebration?
Well, my brother came up with the main title and the main part of the song. We were celebrating the fact that after kind of turning our career around, and we had won 2 American Music Awards for Ladies' Night. Started with Ladies' Night. Mm-hmm. At that time, J.T. Taylor had became a part of the band, and we decided to get a lead singer. So after winning 2 American Music Awards, a part of Ladies Night has celebrate good times, come on. And he said, hey man, I got an idea. And we said, what? I want to write a song called Celebration. And he played the track, and it had that kind of a down home groove, you know, like you're sitting on the porch, maybe in Ohio or Birmingham, Alabama, sitting back in the rocking chair and grandma sitting there. So it had that little vibe to it, and that down, 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 then Yahoo. Now, who knew that song was going to become such a big hit over the years?
It's in place in movies and a lot of projects, especially for film, over I don't know how many times. But going back to Ladies Night, a lot of people were questioning why Kool and the Gang were on the Van Halen tour back in 2012. And David Lee Roth's excuse or explanation was back in the 80s when we came out with 1984, we were one of the hottest bands in the 80s, and so was Kool and the Gang with Ladies Night and, of course, Celebration. How did it feel to tour with one of the best bands of all time in Van Halen?
It was great. It was great because I said, wow, Kool the Gang and Van Halen. And so David told me, he said, listen, man, back in the day, we used to play funky stuff, jungle boogie, out in the clubs, out in LA. And he said that our audience is 60% ladies, which I didn't know. He said, you guys wrote the song Ladies Night. And then they had Jump and we had Celebration. So he said, hey, cool, let's go out and have a party. So some of the fans, you know, if you listen to social media, what's the matter with David? Kool and the Gang gonna open up for you guys? He said, yes. And when we did that first show, man, you know, we had a little rock. We played Misled and Emergency. And then when we got to Ladies Night, Get Down On It, funky stuff, I saw what David was talking about, because the ladies, they got up on Ladies Night, and the hardcore Van Halen fans, she said, you better get your butt up and get down on it. She didn't know that was going to be the next song, or they didn't know. So the next song was Get Down on It. And then when we went to Celebration, it was all over. So David, he knew what he was doing.
And you probably had a lot of people realize who you guys are. And being an older band, there's a lot of younger people who are into Van Halen that go to these concerts. It's like, whoa, Get Down on It, Celebration, Ladies Night. These are the guys. So you make new fans. And we talk about the evolution of the music industry, the streaming thing. You have, 2 million plus people who follow you on Spotify. How has it changed for you? How do you make money off that?
Well, you know, being old school myself, I didn't quite understand what streaming was all about. But in terms of a fan base, what started to happen was that groups that were streaming, it helped their career in terms of putting people in the seats. Because when you're streaming, you know, I'm from the school of cassette, vinyls, CDs. So I was trying to understand what is streaming all about. But it turned out to be before the virus. The streaming builds your audience so that when you go and travel around the world, people come to see you based on you putting people in the seats.
Well, I congratulate you on an amazing career, Kool. I want to talk about your champagne.
Well, the champagne is called the Kool Champagne. Traveling in Europe for many years, and with a fan base that we have, like in France, a promoter came up to me and he was doing something with Barry White, the late Barry White, and the Bee Gees. And he asked us about, well, what about you guys doing the champagne? So I thought about it. I said, well, when you go to a concert, you know, people are not, they come to see you and they want a T-shirt and a cap. My thing was, well, are they going to really buy a bottle of champagne. And so what I want is retail. So I came up with this idea called Le Kool Champagne. And we wanted to start in Europe first, in France, and then come to America. So I felt that it will have that vibe coming to America, like Dom Perignon and Veuve Clicquot and Maurice Chandon, that Le Kool will have a French flavor to it. And that's where we're at. I mean, we got kind of backed up a little bit with the, I call it the Corona blues, but you know, that right now, things are starting to pick up now in America for the Le Kool Champagne.
And you've got a cologne as well you're working on too.
Yes, that's another one called Just Kool. So we want to push the cologne and the champagne. And right now, because of what's going on right now, we have kind of
bit of a setback, but you know what? You'll get back on your way, get back on the stage eventually. 51 years. I want to talk about original titles. I read that Jungle Boogie was originally Junkyard Boogie. Why the change?
Well, almost Junkyard Boogie. It was called Jungle Jim.
Jungle Jim.
But what happened was, I'm going to try to make this very quick. It was after having territorial hits like Funky Granny, Funky Man, and some Breeze and Soul. The record company came to us and said, listen, you guys are doing all right, you know, in certain markets, Philadelphia, New York, and New Jersey. So, but I think that you need a producer. And we said, oh, yeah? So they came to us about the producer who had produced Mongo the Bongo, and they had this big record called Soul Makusa. We met with the guy once, and we weren't feeling what he was coming up with. So we went into a studio, Baggage Studio downtown in the Soho district, New York. And we went in about 8 o'clock in the morning, and we just jammed all day. So by midnight, we had created funky stuff, Jungle Boogie, and Hollywood Swing. So needless to say, no more problems on the record. That was the turnaround point in the mid-70s.
That's incredible. The chemistry between you guys must be, you guys have known each other since you guys were in high school, right?
Yes.
Unreal. A lot of bands struggle to stay together. I mean, 51 years, like, I think I probably would have broken up with my band like 5 or 6 times, if not like 20 times. You know, I found this really interesting fact. One of your band members, Dennis Thomas or DT, he's a self-taught sax player. And I'm just reading this because I found some interesting facts on you guys. Did he originally play with a mouthpiece upside down?
Yes, he did.
That was one of the interesting facts that I found.
DT was into Cannibal Adderley. My brother was into John Coltrane. I listened to Ron Carter, also Paul Chambers. And then, of course, Bob Jameson that cut all those tracks for Motown, you know.
And when we talk about composing music, you said that one day you guys jammed and you guys created all these songs. How many songs do you have in the vault still to be released, or do you have a new album coming out at any point in time?
No, we constantly working on new material. My brother's down in St. Thomas, and he's just coming up with new ideas, new concept. I guess, you know, one thing would being a home and not being able to do gigs, but also the creativity, the juices are flowing. And we have a concept and a song that he came up with called World Peace. And for the pursuit of happiness. So that's what we're working on, and hopefully will be coming out next year.
That's incredible. So how do people get in touch with you to get the Kool champagne or any one of your products, Robert?
Well, for Kool the Gang, it's koolthegang.com. And for the champagne, it's thekoolchampagne.com.
And do you drink coffee, Robert?
Yes, I do.
Well, this is Meet Me for Coffee. Well, how do you take your coffee?
I like espresso.
Me too.
It's Sambuca. It's the Italian way. I was in Sicily, and I was sitting with the mayor of Palermo. with at that time was Buddy Miles. He said, "Listen, man," he said, "you guys need to try this. Try what? Take the espresso, put a little sambuca in there," and I did. And since then, I've been drinking my espresso, not all the time, but espresso and sambuca.
Espresso awakens the senses, and I thank you for coming on my show. Kool, it's been a pleasure, and I hope we can do it again soon.
Well, thank you very much, man. And we appreciate you and all the fans around the world.